So, um, I'm still here in YouTube land. I don't care if my videos get deleted and everything because in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me. What I did is that God gave me the strength to keep on going in doing things. And to respond to some people who said Facebook is bad, yes, it is bad in some ways, but I don't. I believe that God has allowed people things available for good and bad. So I still use Facebook because there is a need, and you use things with good intentions and be useful. You know, if God asks you something, you do it, despite what other people has put out. You could say YouTube's bad, because Facebook and YouTube are just the same actually, or they're now part of the company, which I already knew about this because I did art design, and a lot of people who like myself who was born in the late 1980s were very hyperly aware about technology and where it was going to go. We very sense would talk about internet and everything, and we sense that there'll be a time where people would be limited with with the speech, just like it once were when people started to write books and everything, and then they started to limit. Even Jesus Christ, he set up his church, and he knew that mankind would limited it and turn it for a bad thing once when it was attention became good thing. You know, and the same with this with the pandemic. The pandemic was started as a bad thing, but the people who planned this scheme, but I believe it God allowed it to happen so because it will turn. God knew it would turn into a good thing. Because I said, that's how it is in the universe. Every bad thing can turn into a good thing, and every good thing can turn into a bad thing. So we can't you can't you can't exactly say everything's not black and white. It's in the color spectrum. Anyway, I was doing this video because I decided I was going to start the video, but I realized that I had someone who had comment, which I felt was a threat in some ways. But you know what? I I've used threats in my life. It's nothing, you know. Beyond the few, this I keep on living, keep on fighting another day. If God asks me to, anyway. God give me the strength to, you know, you know, to carry the sword of truth and light. That's the only thing I can. I think sometimes I would like to carry the sword of justice, but that's another story. But anyway, so yeah, it's my birthday. Well, it's past my birthday. My birthday was on Sunday. Of course, I was born on Saturday, but yeah. Anyway, so it's my 31st fourth birthday, and yes, it's not exactly how I wanted it to go down. But one thing I definitely know is that I definitely know my life purpose, which I already knew my life purpose, to be honest with you, but with circumstances, you're weighed with a lot of options, and I think I have many purpose. Maybe one day I will be a lawyer, or in advocating laws for others, because as I said, most people who are entrepreneurs, they have to learn about the law, or even at least study law before, so that if somebody misuse the law, they can defend themselves. It's stuff because because people who is in private schools, what to my understanding, people I know from Africa, wealthy people, wealthy black, white, and white people I knew from Oxford, from their private school, they had a luxury, including the UK, is as well as people in the UK as well, is that I learned from people who've gone to boarding school or private or private expensive private school that was taught law. And see, when with working class kids, well, public schools, they don't even taught law. The only law they give is basically to say you're a prisoner, which is really sad, really. But you know, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward when I have the opportunity to set up a community school that 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 will teach that 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 whether you're rich or poor, you'll be able to learn your rights, and law, which I think everybody should anyway. You know, and exercise it, because in the end of the day, you know, we taught spiritual laws of the universe as well as physical laws of the universe. You know, I still really am passionate about maybe one day I'll be a lawyer. I have I have experience where in the past where people has come across me that maybe I would be, or that as that I'd be too, that people are not ready for me. Maybe it's true. Maybe they never will be. You know, but I have to admit that we live in a world of discrimination at this time where where wherever you do you need to write, and that's time it hasn't been my essential ascension in writing. My life ascension is not writing. My right even these days I look my writing is probably got worse and better at the moment, but hopefully maybe maybe I will able to be better writing again, you know but 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 yeah, but as I said, I don't really want to relive the torture, unless it was a very holistic environment where 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 the person will teach me in a way that will be helpful. But as I said, those places are very expensive. It'd be a miracle someone actually set up for free people to do that. But even people say England's a rich country. What think it's sad though. All the wealthy people and talented, gifted always think about poor countries, but don't realise that the richest countries are the ones that are poor. It's no different because in the Western world, we are no different than the non-Western world. The Western world, the non-Western world, they have the best hospitals, expensive, and then there's people who have nothing. And then in the Western world, we have extreme poverty as well as extreme richness. So it's no different really. We live in a world of hypocrisy. We all different outs of the world. Whether you a non-Western, non-West, it's practically the same principle. Just that people just act. It is that the Western world has illusion, gives people illusion. Probably, yes, you get money and benefits, but the thing is that you can't get really. It's very difficult to get out benefits because the system does not want the social elitists does not want people to get out. They don't really want people to heal themselves. They believe that they were born elite. They still read the Bible, like the Queen and everything, the royal family. They all like to give people a little hope, but not too much hope. You know, because so, and I'm not saying they're bad and everything, because they'll probably have some goodness, but the ones of you, if they was really that good, there wouldn't be. Then there would be a full free democracy of class. all working class people would have been, there'd be no such thing as homelessness. There would be no such thing, um, as I said, it's, if people go and go deep about things, you know, you know, you know, they wouldn't hide about their children disabled. They, like there's another deep things, but yeah. So I'll go back to my birthday. So review my life review, and so I've I would like to no longer feel defenseless by studying law, but I suppose at the moment, just as I have to accept that my job is at this time is is to do art and do a bit more drawing. Yes, my life is limited right now, where 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 it's basically just do art pencils, watercolor pencils, pens. It would be nice to actually just do oil painting, but as I said, that's when it takes time and space, and you know, it's stuff. A good thing I got my benefits. It's been a good year where my benefits has been gone up a bit. Thank goodness for that. At least that's something good. Um, but yeah, and then hmm. So what else? Yeah, the things review, my life year review. Um, I definitely would say is that I'll keep going, as I said before. I'll keep going doing YouTube, do all the things that God is giving me the strength to do. But yeah, even though I feel like it's a waste at times, but I know this is the way of self empowerment, and you keep on going until one day, bam, you you know, just like I watched London Real the other day. I think it was about some famous climber. He was he was the first. He was from France, which is funny because I'm my mum's family is originally from France. I always feel like it was one of my strong roots, family roots. And he said about how people felt he would never be a good climber, but he kept going and going and going, and he was famous to be a world climber, a freestyle climber, climbing buildings and stuff, and yet he had opposition still this day, being arrested. I don't really hardly recommend that, but the thing is, though, God gave him a gift to live, and 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 said the life is in the possible is in the possible. But it took him like years and years until one day he was famous and stuff. Of course, I don't want to be famous. Well, it would be nice in a supposed way, but is but the thing is, though, I really not, because what real is basically me. I feel my life purpose is more than fame. Fame, my life purpose is to share knowledge, empower myself and others. You know, because fame is only short, as I said. But yeah, going back to the French freestyle, right? In and now, and and he's okay if he's not still, if people are gonna forget him years later. Because that's how it is sometimes, isn't it? But he, he's, I think he's now 50 or 60 years old. And he looks young and healthy because he's got a maternity life. And he's happy that he's a dad with a few months baby when he think, that's cool, isn't it? Anyway, so maybe that's the thing about being a pioneer. Edge is that you don't have very few people, you don't have followers, you set up an art site, and and you don't get much stuff and everything, But but yeah, but but you keep on going until one day someone said, "Hey, I got you." I remember my ex-lover. Well, he wasn't really not really my lover, and he was just someone I was dating at the time who was my first older boyfriend. Philip David Taylor. You know, which I hope he's learning his life lessons. But anyway, he was from Bourne, Oxford. Just like me. You know, mix. He's partly Spanish, Jewish. But it's born English anyway. And 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 he had some hidden disabilities. And but and being and he was very fortunate because because he came from the era where you didn't have to do very well at work at school. You can things didn't go well at school. You got apprentice shop. You didn't have to do writing and stuff. So he was able to do that, which now that shop in Oxford is now shut. As he was a tailor. Funny enough, tailor. You know, the Jewish name Taylor its origin, as someone who makes clothes and stuff. So it's funny though. He's living his Jewish legacy without even realizing, even though his dad was working a pub, he used to own and run a pub, you know, which I think was amazing. His dad, overcoming from the Holocaust and which I think is amazing, but yeah, I, it, because but yeah, and anyway, so yeah, so him, so yeah, he kept making clothes and stuff, and then one day, Vivian Westwood noticed his clothes in a market in London, and he became so started to have a real career in art world, even to did ID magazine, which if I ever saw it I would keep it you know ID magazine. Of course, you know how it is with people. People writes people's names all the time out in history, but it was a real thing. He'd show his stuff one time. He still do art, but it's a shame, with his self-denied that it's gone, but he had the opportunity, but as I said, so you know, so yeah, people get the opportunity at times, it depends how you use it wisely and disciplined and learn other people's stories and everything, but yeah. But I still, I sometimes I ask God to forgive me to not give to not exchange my give up my exchange of gift of art. I was so angry. I said to God, maybe maybe you know maybe with all my pain experiences, I'd rather exchange. I said I'd rather exchange my gift of of music and art and be a lawyer, because there's no one in England, in my county, to represent the poor and the needy and the helpless and the weak and the defenseless. you know this has gone back because England is very backwards, unfortunately, and it's gone worse because nobody's standing up and doing stuff. There are a few people, but I'm just saying Oxford is very corrupt, where it's always people work for the rich, but never really represent the poor. And by the time the poor gets help, it's too late. I was very angry, you know, I've you did all. I was very fortunate that 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 Tony Blair was able to allow working class people, whether disabled or not, to have the community at the age of 16 or over to have a compulsive study of citizen rights. Unfortunately, that's not really free anymore. Which is sad, really, because people need to know their rights, whether they're immigrant or born in this country. It's not just the rich that should be know their rights. It's everybody. Everybody should have to know their rights and what they deserve in life. That's humanity, right? That. But you know, you know, nobody should. Whether you have a minimum wage job or high profile job, you know, there's a need, you know. But I suppose, my personal life experience is that I have to learn, you know, what I can do with things. Though, but I said my life has dealt me so much cards of injustice that I want to become a lawyer, because as I said, nobody's standing up for that department, though. But maybe I meant to have many hats. There are, like, you learn in Hallmark movies about people who have many hats. I there was a time, I think I learned my cousin from Dominica in a small Caribbean Commonwealth. Those who don't know, is that that people had jobs with many hats. It was a small community. Plus I'm core Irish, so in Ireland it's very small too. My grandfather was Sligo. I don't really know in person because he died when my dad was 16. But I do understand that. But I do have feel connection with my ancestors, and and to my understanding is that from my Irish and of course and Scottish heritage and Welsh heritage, because I did DNA tests as well this year. Um, f- um, in 3 months ago, is that is is that is that they were small communities and they had to have many hats. And now it's sunny enough that society these days in Western society that they try to done away with people having many hats, which I think is ridiculous because everybody can be more than one thing. You know, I think that's why society has identity. People have identity crisis. Why people have with diagnosed personality disorders, because people have been brainwashed and saying there's one path. I like this from this writer from Chicago. I think was who wrote a book, which I think was now that was turned Hollywood into movies, and you know I think it's called Divergent, where basically everybody was had to choose one profession, and that is the real world. That's the real world that we live in. People are told that you only have choose one identity. Women feel like, okay, I'm a born woman. I have to choose that one identity, just be a mom. But people don't realize being a mother means not just having children, it's also not having children, you know, and or and being a mother, it means you have many hats of jobs. You're a psychiatrist, you're a nurse, or you're a man and a sex, you're a man and or my dad, he's a man, he has many hats. He's a sofa, he's and yes, he's a father, but it doesn't mean so but but in year 2000, people have to force to realize that there is that people can be many things, and be more of that. You know, if people want to survive and improve life, they have to know there are many things, not just one thing. You know, if people, it's like people who study about angels would know that angels do many jobs. They have you have they do purpose, or or if people believe in God, knows that God is many things. So why can a person, a mortal who is made in the image of God, be many things? Why? That's a question. That's a deep universal question. And for me, I already know this, because if you are made in the image of God, then you are many things. Just like Jesus. Jesus was made in the image of God, and yes, he was a demigod. He was half human, half God. You know, born out of a virgin. So therefore, you know, a real demigod. You know. Anyway, so he wasn't conceived by a man, by human. He was conceived by the spirit, and so yeah. And he had many identities, and people who really knew him would know that he had more. You know, he was known as a carpenter, a healer, a teacher. He was a god, as well as partly a human being. When he was mortal, before he was resurrected, he became full mortal. So he was graduated to be not full, not full mortal. Sorry, I mean in full immortal. He was full time immortal, no longer a half mortal. He was able to fully be his true transformed glory, and so we're no longer limited. Once after he crossed the spirit world, to open the gates of death. You, you know, so yeah. So 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 that's my point. I think it's very old now. You know, the best people in the world and minds, had many identities, and it's not just one. It's they're still that person, but they have many identities, and they're whole. And that's where people should accept that now. You know, I think once people accept that, then I think people would no longer be labeling people as personality disorders, because you know of course, don't confuse that to people who've got split personality disorder. I'm talking about people who's labeled like borderline, organic personality disorder, and all these labels. So as I said, since my mid 20s, I've been given so many labels, or even unlabeled. It's very difficult. And I said, you know, ashamed though, I said that at this time I don't even know anything, because I've not been told, because I'm not elite. I'm a poor peasant, defenseless peasant at this time. That's what society has done to me. But hopefully by next year, hopefully that would change. Hopefully. But until then, I'm just keep on doing my stuff and keep me informed. But because I think there's not a lot of people that inform people what's going on in the UK. Unfortunately, because they give in to the to their slave makers. the suppressors, I would say, suppressors, because not we don't use name slave makers anymore. We say suppressors because that's what we have. We have people who are suppressors, you know, suppress people and say they're crazy and need medication, and because they're speaking the truth or something which is not right. Thank God I can use my even though the law is just and everything in UK, I'm grateful that I can use my tablet and connect with others. But yeah, even though I am monitored and I do feel threats, but you know what? Just give it. I'm not gonna. I do, as I said, I'll do things through the power of God to that gives me the strength to do this. You know, even though at times I'm disheartened. So, what? Okay, so what else? So another thing, a reflection for my birthday. Since now I'm 34 of my life. I think basically I learned that I need to not let people take away my hope. I've before I came out from Birmingham, from the detention centre, which they're called Christchurch, I I I was very hopeful, you know, you know, had a deep. God gave me hope despite the limited option I had because I had nowhere to go. And I was very hopeful, even though I knew not exactly what's going to happen, but I know exactly what would would might have come out. But you know, but I unfortunately it's been 4 years, for about 4 years now, being stuck in a group care home. Was meant to be, but you know, but for now I have to keep going. It shouldn't happen, but I know how God works. He allows people to use their free will, and once that doesn't happen, then he starts intervention. That's how God works. Just like what happened to me when I was cheated out of hostel, and which I ended up losing my apartment and everything, and I didn't have exactly had the luxury to go and file laws and stuff, and so and I had to force to remain back to my parents, even though it was not the ideal situation for me, which which set me back so much. But you know, but somehow though I found out through another person, because I didn't was there's that Bourne houses got the justice, and that thank God that some people who had the opportunity on the means to spoke out, and so it was back to Sobel, to the charity which before social being took over was a very good charity, which was just that didn't exploit the vulnerable. So that was good, and yeah, that and so I didn't need so justice was served. So I don't have to go back and feel, oh, that was so injustice, you know, because God intervened, and you know, so even though I didn't get compensated, you know, I did work. I was still working at a day centre, the only job that I had, and had no support in finding another job because nobody was no helping or supporting me or understand. Even my church community was not very helpful, supportive, you know, even today, I suppose. But you know what? Honestly, I'm grateful that I don't have to go and look for work. At least that's one thing I do think, you know, you know, but forced to be in a job that wasn't right for me. Anyway, I learned my life lesson that that even though at the time I was so desperate to find a job so that I could have a freedom, unfortunately, it was no freedom. It was a terrible situation. But one thing though is that for, for now I'm going to wait for my own place. God reveals to me that I will get my own place, and hopefully next year, sometime next year, hopefully I get a house, a nice flat, a nice apartment where I can lock my door and put whatever I want in, and that's what I'm hoping, and I'm going to carry on hoping. I even put a key in my dream capture, hopefully to 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 attract the hope around me, faith. Anyway, but yeah, it's a beautiful situation thing, but yeah, because God gives you ideas to help you, you know, you know, because so yeah, um, so because the dream catcher, you guess it, dream, you're catching your dreams. Anyways, so hopefully once again I will have my own apartment and I can lock my door, and this time this time I hope that no one's gonna make me homeless again, or be threatened because they were corrupt. Hopefully this time will work out. Anyway, so and so so yeah, so right, so